I'm Millie McCormick and welcome to my speech. Today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about making bagels at home yourself. So today I'm going to be making an everything bagel from scratch and pairing with a simple cream cheese. For this recipe you will need active dry yeast, warm water, flour, oil, sugar, honey, salt, and everything bagel seasoning. To start, you will need to activate your dry yeast. Depending on what type of yeast you use, it'll be different for both, but for me, I used the store-bought yeast, so I had to soak it in warm water for about 10 minutes to get it activated. So the first thing we're going to do is going to be adding our dry yeast and our flours and salts to our bowl. While you're doing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how bagels came to be. Bagels came to be in a Jewish community in Poland in the 1600s. They were inspired by the German pretzel at the time. And whenever the Jewish community started migrating away from Poland and into America, a lot of them settled in New York. So that's why a lot of times you will see New York bagels called the traditional bagel, because they are inspired by the Jewish communities of Poland. In fact, today I am using a recipe called a New York bagel. For flour, you will need about 4 1/3 cups of flour. So I'll start by adding my 1/3 cup. And then I'll add the 4 cups. These bagels, traditional bagels, were originally made with wheat flour. But typically all-purpose flour or bread flour is what you see in bagels today due to its accessibility. By using bread flour, we do lose some of that dietary benefits though. Traditional bagels are made using spring wheat flour. This flour is high in protein so that the bagel retains about 13 to 16% of its protein values. Unfortunately, because I do not have wheat flour, I will be using all-purpose flour. But that does not change the fact that bagels are high in antioxidants and gluten, which is great for gut health. After adding our flour and yeast, we will add salt. For this recipe, I'm using about 2 teaspoons of salt, which is a good amount. Because it's an everything bagel, it is more of a savory dish, but if you're going for something sweet, you might not want to use as much salt because it will not turn out as good. After adding all that, your dough should be nice and crumbly, with few clumping up and creating that yeast-like feeling, but not much. Now we're going to add sugar. I've used about 2 tablespoons of sugar to 1 teaspoon of salt, so that it almost evens out in a way. The reason I like making homemade bagels over store-bought is simply for customization. I can choose exactly what I'm putting in here, and nothing can stop me. Also, store-bought bagels tend to lose some of that gut health and dietary benefits. Also, in the end, it's pride knowing that I was able to make something completely from scratch without help from anyone. Next, we're going to add my oil and water. Since I had used normal store-bought dry yeast, I will not be adding that much oil or water. Just 2 tablespoons is plenty, because I've already had water added in here from my original yeast. Now I'm going to add honey. Honey is tricky to get out, so I recommend using another type of spoon to get it out of your container. I am using about 1 tablespoon of honey, but whenever I make sweet bagels, I love using more due to its natural oxidants and natural flavoring. At this point, your bagels are kind of looking like shredded chicken. So we're going to add a little bit of water and then let this rest. So we are going to add about 1 cup of water, or depending on your yeast, it will be more or less. So I'm going to go and add the water and let this rest, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. After letting our dough rest for 10 minutes, it's now time to knead it. To knead dough, all you're going to do is fold it over itself, push down, come back, fold it over itself, push down, come back, and fold it over itself again. The reason we knead dough is to activate the gluten that we added earlier on in the recipe and reactivate the yeast. And after it is all activated, you will know whenever you can hold it up to a light without it tearing and be able to see the light through it. Now that our dough is activated, it is time to shape it. How we shape dough is we simply roll it into the shape we want and then let it rest again. Whenever it's done resting for the second time, we'll poke holes in it and boil it and bake it, and there you have it. I'll catch back up with y'all after that's done. After baking your bagels and applying the seasoning, there you have it. Perfect homemade bagels that are gut friendly and full of antioxidants.